This illustration deals with grounding of a service equipment supplied by AC Systems in accordance with 250.24, C as in car 1 through C as in car 5. Purpose of the change, a new subsection was provided here, and it was added to clarify the requirements for the grounded conductor brought to service equipment when sizing for a single raceway or cable. Parallel conductors and 2 or more raceways or cables, delta connected services, high impedance grounded systems. Section 250.4 has been reorganized and restructured again to make it more usable, clarify the requirements in a maybe in such a manner that we all can be on the same page. But now let's take a look at this. Let's review the right-hand side up at the very top of that panel board. Then notice we have an unspliced bonding jumper. We connect that bar to ground. All your neutrals and equipment grounds connected there, and the grounded conductor connects that bar and is routed back to the grounded transformer, you know, if it's service equipment and so forth. And then the illustration right below it, notice it's earth grounded through a high impedance grounding system that fully complies with 250.36 or 250.187 depending upon the voltage. But the transformer is grounded whether it's customer owned or owned by the utility. And then if you notice the panel board to the left at the bottom, then we're in parallel there. And so say that you had a 600 amp main and your grounded conductor's in parallel there, it has to be 1 aught or larger. Now, we know that's in 310, really 310.10 H and G. And notice it's stated there, conductors are connected in parallel. And the equipment ground should be full size, run in each raceway, or run in each raceway, or it has to, the cable or whatever has to comply with 250.122 F1, B as in boy, if it's connected in parallel, and 310.H5 and G or G that would be connected there. Now, notice that it's full size, but it doesn't have to be 1 aught or larger. It could be sized strictly by table 250.122. Now, if my memory serves me correctly here, if we should have a 600 amp main, then those conductors would have to be probably about number 1 from table 250.122 to serve as an equipment ground. If there were neutrals there, they would have to be at least 1 aught or larger, or grounding conductor. And then at the very bottom of the illustration, it shows you size required in each raceway or cable, 1 aught or larger if you're dealing with the grounded neutral conductor. But if it's an equipment ground, then 250.122 F1 and B and table 250.122, 310.H5 and G would regulate that installation to make sure all the conductors were sized properly. And we know that the 1 aught rule, that the neutral has to be at least 1 aught, no matter how it calculates, and that's because of the resistance of the smaller conductors. You just wouldn't get the full amount of amps that you needed for a parallel hookup. And now I would like to remind you that you would really, to understand this, you would need to look at 250.24A4, 250.24B as in boy, and 250.28. Also look at your 250.122F, look at 310.10 H and G, and this comes together for you so that you really understand it clearly. Now, lastly, I'd like to look at the transformer to the right and the notes. Now notice we have a corner grounded system. If you look at that transformer, it's a delta corner grounded type system. And then notice that the circuit breaker is a 2-pole that you have there. And if we review 240.85, it would have to be marked single phase, 3-phase, not just a regular old two-pole breaker that you might get off of your truck or out of your bins or whatever. Then the grounded conductor coming in would be connected just like it was a neutral, so to speak. But the L1, L2, and L3 all have to be the very same size. And you'll find that in 250.24C as in card 3 is the grounded conductor, same size as the phase conductors, a little call out that you see there. Now to wrap this thing up, let's go ahead and look at the notes. Note 1 to the left up there says the grounded conductor has to be at least as large as 250.102C1 and 250.24C1 and 310.10G, and that's that grounded conductor that coming out of, well, not coming out, but coming from your neutral bar into your conduit. We would size according to that. Then note 2, in complying kind of with that illustration you see there, we'd see 250.24C as in car 2 for that regulation. And then when we reviewed the next note, 3 up at the top, it says C 250.24C exception, dealing with that particular panel board. And then when you drop down to the last note, then notice it tells you to see 250.24C as in car 3 for that corner ground delta system. And whatever electrician should not do, and that's what this is trying to point out, don't drop that grounded conductor just 2 sizes like the code used to list for the neutral conductor in a dwelling unit. It would say, and then commercial too, that usually the neutral was a couple sizes smaller, or the grounded conductor, a couple sizes smaller than the phase conductors because of all your phase-to-phase loads. But on this corner grounded system, they're calling that out in 250.24C3. Don't treat it like that. Make sure it's the very same size or you'll be damaging equipment that is connected.